Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
Can you please state your full name for the record?
My name is James Kwong. James spells James. Kwong spells Kwong.
Okay. And sir, are you currently employed?
No, I'm not. I am a retired forensic analyst specialized in guns, ammunitions, ballistics, and the forensic disciplines of firearms identification.
Okay. But sir, prior to your retirement, did you work for the Florida Department of Law Enforcement?
Yes, I did.
How long did you work for that establishment?
Approximately 19 and a half years.
What did your job entail specifically?
My responsibilities and duties are conduct examinations of firearms, ammunitions, components of ammunitions such as projectiles, spent casings, conduct examination of firearms, function check, safety check, and testify the firearms. Conduct microscopic comparisons of projectiles to projectiles, cartridge cases to cartridge cases, to determine whether they were fired in or fired from the same gun or not, and many other related duties.
Okay. So what is your educational background?
I have a Bachelor of Science degree in Mechanical Engineering and Technology. I received my Bachelor of Science degree in 1985 from Tampa University. Tampa spells Temple, Temple University in the city of Philadelphia.
Okay. And sir, can you tell us what is firearms and tool mark identification? What is that?
The primary objective of forensic firearms identification is to determine whether a bullet or a cartridge case was fired in or fired from a specific gun or not. And of course, there are many other related responsibilities.
Besides the educational background that you have told us about, do you have any formal training in this area of specialty?
Yes, I was previously employed by the police department in the city of Philadelphia. I started as a police officer on street patrol duties. After approximately 5 years on the street, I was transferred to the Forensics Science Center because I have a college degree, and I was assigned to the Firearms Identification Unit, which is equivalent to the firearms sections of FDLE. While I was assigned to the Firearms Identification Unit, I received 3 years of in-service training or on-the-job training in various aspects of forensic firearms identification. I was trained in the history of forensic firearms identification, the historical developments of firearms and ammunitions, laboratory examination procedures, identification of firearms, function check, safety check, and all other related testing. Also, I was trained in microscopy, using a comparison microscope to conduct bolus and cartridge cases analysis. I also was trained in serial number restoration, distance determination based on gunshot residues, many additional trainings. Once I completed my 3 years training, I worked as a firearms examiner in the city of Philadelphia for approximately 6 years. Then I retired. Then I was hired by FDLE as a expert in the forensic firearms identification as well as court qualified analyst.
Okay. As part of your job functions, do you have to analyze or do any testing on casings?
Yes.
And can you tell us what that is?
The modern ammunition is what we call a cartridge. A cartridge contains four major components. The first component is the cartridge case, some people call the brass. At the base of the cartridge case, there is a primer. Inside the cartridge case is gunpowder. And the last component is the bullet or the projectile that is seated inside the case mouth. And that is a cartridge case. That is a single unit of ammunition, a cartridge. A cartridge case is just one of the four major components.
Are you ever asked to examine cartridge casings?
Yes, that is most of my duties.
And for what purpose?
Well, first we have to determine the caliber of the cartridge case, as well as class characteristics that it was fired from a particular gun. If more than one cartridge case is submitted, I have to compare the two cartridge case against each other to determine whether they were firing the same gun or not.
And can that be done? How would you go about doing that?
Yes. The scientific instrument that we use is called a comparison microscope. Basically, it's two microscopes combined into one with two separate stages, and each stage holds one component or one item. It could be projectiles or could be cartridge cases. We compare them side by side, and we are looking for agreements or disagreements of individual characteristics. These are the markings that left on the cartridge case when it was fired from the gun. If the pattern match, that means they were fired from the same gun. If the pattern did not match, that means they were fired from different gun.
Okay. And how about bullets or projectiles? Can you tell us what that is?
Yeah, again, the bullet or projectile is one of the four major components of a cartridge. The bullet is the component that, once fired, it travels down the barrel and out the barrel. First, we determine the caliber of the bullet. Then we determine the class characteristics left on the bullet from the gun. And again, if there are more than one projectile submitted, we will compare the projectile to each other to determine whether they were fired from the same gun or not.
Is it possible to obtain a projectile and it be of no value for comparison because of the condition that the projectile is in?
Yes. When a projectile struck something hard, the wall, the ground, bones, the skulls, the bullet will suffer damage. Sometimes the damage is so severe that the markings or the patterns of individual characteristics on the projectile or the bullet is damaged to a point that it could not be identified to other bullets.
But is it also possible for a projectile to be in bad condition but still can be compared against other evidence?
Yes, I have compared little bullet jackets to another bullets. So yes, depends on what type of markings and the conditions of the markings on the bullets as well as on bullet jacket fragments.
Okay. What about fragments, just fragments? Can you do anything with fragments that are submitted to you for further testing?
Yes, if the bullet jacket fragment, even if it's a tiny little piece, but if it contains sufficient microscopic markings, yes, we could make identifications.
Well, sir, can you explain to us what you mean by class characteristics?
Class characteristics are characteristics that belong to a group. or armory. For example, you have two guns, the same manufacturer, same model, same caliber. They all have the same class characteristics. For example, the gun barrels. If the gun barrels has, let's say, 6 lands and grooves with a left twist, every bullet fired out from this gun barrel will have an impression of 6 lands and grooves with a left twist. Now, every guns within the same model, same caliber, same manufacturer, they all have the same class characteristics. So that means 6 lands and groove with a left twist would be a class characteristic that belong to many.
Okay. Well, sir, can you tell us what is meant by lands and grooves and rifling? What does that mean?
Well, if you look down the gun barrel or the barrel of a gun, please don't do this at home. You will see a number of grooves spiral from one end to the other end. They are either twist to the right or twist to the left. It depends on the manufacturers. The area between the grooves is what we call lands. Lands spells L-A-N-D-S. Together they are called lands and grooves, also known as rifling. The purpose of the rifling in a gun barrel is so that it would impart a spin to the projectile. So once you fire the gun, the bullet travels down and through the gun barrel. As it travels down the gun barrel, it will engage the rifling. If the rifling have a left twist, the bullet will follow the left twist. As it leaves the barrel, it will continue to spin, which will give it gyroscopic stability. The stability will give the bullet a longer range and more accuracy. An analogy is a football quarterback throwing a football. If the quarterback put a spin to it, in slow motion, you could see the football spiral. A right-handed quarterback will have a clockwise spiral. A left-handed quarterback has a left-handed spiral. The spiral is so that the football could travel more accurate in the longer range. If the quarterback throws the football without a spin to it, the football will tumble end over end. It would be less accurate and it will not go as far. So that is the purpose of the rifling. So when a bullet is fired through a gun barrel, it will pick up the rifling impression of the gun barrel.
Okay. So what are individual characteristics?
Individual characteristics are characteristics that are unique to one, different from the others. Pretty similar to your fingerprints. Even your fingerprints on both your hands, each one is different from the others. That's why they are called individual characteristics. So every gun has its own unique individual characteristics. So when a bullet is fired through a particular gun, that bullet will be marked by that gun with its ballistic signature, or some people call mechanical fingerprints.
So can you tell us about semi-automatic guns as opposed to revolvers?
Both the semi-automatic pistols and the revolvers are considered to be handguns. That means you fire the gun with one hand. The difference between a semi-automatic pistol and the revolver is what happened to the cartridge case once the gun was fired. A semi-automatic pistol is designed to automatically eject the cartridge case after firing. And for a revolver, after you fire the revolver, the cartridge case will stay in the chamber of a cylinder. When the shooter leaves the scene with the revolver, you would not see cartridge case at the scene because the cartridge case is with the revolver.
Okay.
So when we see cartridge cases at the scene of a shooting, that would be consistent with a semi-automatic pistol and not a revolver.
Well, sir, have you testified as a fire expert previously?
Yes, I have testified approximately 232 times.
And in what counties?
Many counties in the state of Florida, as well as in the city of Philadelphia, as well as the U.S. District Court in Atlanta, Georgia.
Well, sir, I'd like, tender the witness for voir dire.
No questions on the matter.
Okay, thank you. Sir, I'd like to turn your attention to the time frame of, I guess, starting May of 2022. You were still working for FDLE at that time, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And have you had an opportunity to review the FDLE reports that were authored by you in this case?
Yes, I have.
Okay. So back in, on May the 25th of 2022, did you receive submissions under agency number 221843991 from the Tampa Police Department?
Yes, I did.
Okay. What were the submissions that you received?
I received a total of 4 spank casings
Okay.
and 2 projectiles.
All right. And upon receiving these items, what were you tasked to do?
Per the FDLE SOP, I am to identify the cartridge case by the manufacturer, the caliper, and the class characteristics. And also per our SOP, I am to screen the cartridge case to each other as well as screen the projectile to each other.
When you receive these submissions, do they have specific property numbers from the police agencies, such as Tampa Police Department?
Yes, each item do have their agency item numbers.
And then at FDLE, do you also generate your own numbering system when you receive these items?
Yes, because normally the agency has item number that is 8 to 13 digits long. It's too long. So we use a simplified number systems.
Okay.
The reason why is that bullets and cartridge cases are pretty small, and we are required to mark each evidence with the case number, the item number, and our initials, so that the item could be recognized. So if the item number is too long, it's just not enough room for us to mark it.
Okay. Well, sir, in this particular case, you indicated that there were 4 cartridge casings that were submitted to you. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. And so can you tell us what testings you did on them and for what purpose?
Are you referring to the cartridge case?
The cartridge cases.
Yes. Well, first I identified the manufacturer, the caliper, and the class characteristics. All 4 cartridge cases were 9mm calibers. They have various types of manufacture, 4 different manufacturers, in fact.
They all had 4 different manufacturers?
Yeah, it's 4 different manufacturers.
Okay. And did you, and I'm specifically referring to your June 2022 report, did you indicate that you did, they were microscopically screened?
Yes. That would be our first examination, is to screen the cartridge case to each other, and also screen the projectile to each other. Screening is basically a preliminary examinations. Once we complete our examination, send a report to the agency, and if the agency decided they want a full microscopic comparisons, they have to resubmit the evidence to us so that we could conduct a more thorough 100% microscopic comparisons.
So what, if any, determination did you make as it pertains to the cartridge casing during your screening?
During the screening, I determined that all four cartridge case has the same class, individual class characteristics, as well as similar individual characteristics.
Could you tell us the type of guns that would fire these cartridge casings?
Yeah, based on the markings left on the casing from the gun, because it has a ejector mark, that means it would be consistent with a semi-automatic pistol and not a revolver.
Okay. All right. Now, did you also receive projectiles or fragments in association with this case?
I received two intact projectiles.
Okay. And what did you do with them?
Again, I determined the calipers. Both projectiles are consistent with the 9mm caliper bullets. They also have the same class characteristics. That means they have the same rifling characteristics. So I was able to group them into one group.
Okay. Did you make a determination as it pertains to the projectiles? Any specific determination as it pertains to whether it be a 9mm Luger caliber or anything else?
Yes, based on the design of the projectiles, they are consistent with the 9mm Luger caliber ammunitions, which is consistent with the cartridge cases.
Okay. How about the type of firearms or name brands? Did you make any determination as it pertains to that?
No, just based on the projectiles, I could not determine whether it's a revolver or a semi-automatic pistol. Since the bullet traveled down a gun barrel between a revolver and semi-automatic, there's not much difference.
Okay. Did you make any determination as to whether or not the projectiles displayed rifling characteristics similar to pistols by Smith & Wesson and Ruger and other such?
Yes, based on the class characteristics that I measure of both projectiles, and I enter those specifications into a database, and the database provides me with a list of potential firearms manufacturers. And there were two, Smith & Wesson's and the Ruger.
Okay. Well, based on the screening and the testings that you did in June of 2022, did Tampa Police Department resubmit these items for further testing?
Yes, they did.
And to that end, did you ultimately test these items that we've just spoken of?
Yes, when I received the 4 cartridge cases and the 2 projectiles, I conduct a full microscopic comparisons of the cartridge case against each other and the projectile to each other. Based on the microscopic comparison using a comparison microscope, the 4 span casings were fired in the same gun.
Okay. And then as it pertains to the projectiles, were those resubmitted as well?
Yes, they were resubmitted, and I conduct a full microscopic comparisons using a comparison microscope. One of the projectile was severely damaged, and as well as that the 2 projectiles has different bullet jackets. One bullet has a brass jacket, the other bullet has a copper jacket. So it makes identification difficult, as well as the damage to one of the projectiles. So my conclusion is inconclusive. That means I cannot tell you whether they were fired from the same gun or not. However, I did not eliminate them to each other.
Okay. Were you able to make any determinations as it pertains to the casings in connection with the projectiles that were submitted to you?
They are consistent with the same caliber, which is 9 millimeters.
Okay. Well, sir, I am showing you what is in evidence, as State Exhibit 32B, 32A, and 33. Can you please take a moment and look at these and tell me if you've previously seen them?
I recognize 3 of these packaging by the FDLE case number, the item number, and my initial or my handwritings on the packaging, on all 3 of these packagings.
And are these in fact the items that you tested and made determinations on as it pertains to this specific case?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, sir. Your Honor, may I have a moment?
Yes.
I don't have any further questions.
Hey, can you make a 5-minute break before we cross, so people can stretch their legs and get a cup of coffee or some water? All rise, for your executive. Oh, really? Just go right in the next one. Any matters we need to address, both Judge? You all may be seated already. Any matters? Yeah. Yeah. TJ texted me. He was doing exactly what you said. That's the first thing that popped into my head. So,
Sit here 40 minutes. That's all.
so I go to Black Rock, Tuesday. Ice cold. Ice cold.
Just keep periodically. Just we'll pay.
Favorite eating thing. Raise their hand. Rolling around, throwing.
I think so. The rest of the I told Greg. It's like the die.
He goes,
The die
so when you get this car, I like this one Mitsubishi.
Yeah.
So Benito drinks and he gets up and so so he had a few drinks and he goes, I gotta ask you. I got my neighbor, my grandparents' house back when something he goes through and he found with his that was a mess of life.
Excuse me, which entails photography, latent fingerprint development, and evidence collection procedures.
And were you working back when this case was happened back in May of 2022?
Yes.
All right. Did you go out to the scene or do anything at the scene in this particular case?
No.
How many crime scene technicians are there that work at City of Tampa Police Department?
We're slotted with 18 spots.
18. And so do you all share responsibilities then? And so it could be 2 or 3 or 4 different crime scene techs will work on on the same case, doing different things. Would that be accurate?
Correct.
Okay. Did you get involved or were you tasked with doing anything in the case involving the death investigation of Nilexia Alexander?
I was.
And what were you asked to do?
I went to a search warrant at an apartment complex.
Okay. What date was this?
I believe it was the 1st of June.
All right. And do you recall the location of the apartment complex?
It was off of Lowry Court.
All right. And did you know anything about why you were going to this location and what the search warrant was about or anything like that?
When I was dispatched, no. Once I got there, Detective Wieland and Detective Neitlinger were there and explained what we were going to go in and look for.
Okay. And what were you, do you know whose residence this was or where you were?
No.
Okay. And describe for the jury, please, what the residence was like.
It's almost like townhomes, apartment style. You walk in and there was a living room and a kitchen on the first floor. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, the stairs were to the left when you walked in, and then the bedrooms would have been upstairs.
All right. And did you go in with the detectives to conduct the search warrant?
Yes.
All right. And what did you see or what did you find when you were conducting your search warrant?
There was some clothing in the living room in a garbage bag that they had particular interest in and pointed it out, and that was what we collected.
The detectives did?
Correct.
Okay. And did you know the significance of the clothing or anything?
No, not at that time.
All right. And what did you do with, did you take photographs of the clothing?
I did.
All right, I'm showing what's been marked as State's Exhibits G1 through G4. Ask you to take a quick look at those.
I lost your paperclip.
Let's see. Do you recognize it?
Yes.
And what is it?
That's going to be the bag of clothing that was located at the residence, as well as the shorts that were in the bag.
And does this fairly and accurately depict what it looked like that day when you showed up to conduct that search?
Yes.
Judge moved to have State's Exhibits G1, G2, G3, and G4 admitted into evidence.
No objection.
C1 through 4 will be admitted without objection.
Thank you, Your Honor. I'm going to show you, or I'm going to may I publish, Your Honor? All right. So this is kind of the bag of clothing. Did you know whose house this was? I might have already asked you that. Did you know?
I did not.
Okay. Did you impound that bag with clothing?
I did.
All right. And States G2, is this the bag impounded or taken from the apartment?
Yes.
And I noticed it's on some paper there. Is this at the TPD?
Yes, this is back at my office.
Okay. And G3, what is that a picture of?
Those are going to be the shorts that were in the bag. You can kind of see them in the original photo on the top.
Okay. Back in this photo here?
Correct.
Or in that one too?
You can see them in both photos, yes.
Yeah. And then, sorry, this is G4. Is that the back of that pair of shorts?
Yes, it is.
All right. Did you do anything else with these shorts other than photograph them?
Just went through, made sure there was nothing in the pockets. I do believe a little piece of paper was found in one of the pockets, which was also collected. We went over them to make sure that there was nothing else on them, and nothing was of note.
I was about to say, so when you looked at these, specifically looking at State's photograph G3, do you look to see if you see anything, any discoloration, anything that could be considered blood?
Correct.
If you did, what would you do?
It would have been photographed, documented.
And would you do some testing on it to determine whether or not it is blood or?
Potentially, it would have, we would have potentially done a phenolphthalein test on it to see.
Did you see anything on these shorts that appeared to be blood in any manner?
No.
All right. And you looked at both the front and here's G4, the back, and you did not see anything?
Correct.
And were those shorts taken and impounded into evidence?
They were?
Showing you what's been marked as State's Exhibit number 27. I'll ask you if you can take a look at it, open it up and look inside without showing the jury, tell me if you recognize it.
Yes.
And what is that?
It's going to be the pair of camo shorts that we just saw in the prior photo.
All right, does it appear to be in substantially the same condition as when you took it into evidence that day?
Correct.
All right, Judge, we would move to State's Exhibit number 27 admitted into evidence.
No objection.
May I publish, Your Honor? Other than the search of this residence, did you have any other work on this case?
No.
All right, Judge, no further questions of this witness.
You cross?
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
When you arrived at that apartment on Lowry Court, it was Detective Wieland that was sort of directing you as to what he needed to have done, correct?
Yes, it was Detective Whelan and Detective Nightlinger that were both out there in tandem.
And so you were directed then at some point to collect these articles of clothing, including the shorts that we just saw in State's Exhibit 27, correct?
Yes.
And you mentioned that you visually examined them for potential blood. Did you do any alternative light source testing or blue star testing on the shorts?
We'll use our flashlight and kind of side light it, which is an oblique lighting. It's a technique that would just, enhance if we saw anything there. There was nothing just visually to the eye, and if we were to blue star it, we could have potentially diluted anything. So at that point in time, it wouldn't have behooved us to do that, but no, nothing was noted.
So could have diluted anything. Does that mean like any kind of further processing that could have been done with the shorts?
Not seeing something on, not seeing a suspected blood on there. If we did spray it and there was potentially suspected blood, at that point in time, I don't have the capacity to necessarily test further because it might have diluted it. So at that point in time, our best forth for evidence was to go ahead and package it, and then if they wanted to do something with it later, they could have, meaning
Right.
the detectives.
Right. If the detectives wanted any further testing on it, then those shorts were available to them. They could have sent those off for additional testing.
Correct.
You're not part of that decision-making process.
No, ma'am.
Okay. Were you ever requested to do any sort of swabbing for gunshot residue on the clothing?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Can I have a moment, please, Harold?
Yes, ma'am.
Nothing else. Thank you, ma'am.
Any redirect?
Yes, Judge. When was the last time you've done any gunshot residue testing?
On clothing, we do not do that in
Okay.
our agency on a person a few months ago.
So gunshot residue, you hear about it a lot on TV and stuff, but it's not something that's commonly done. Would that be accurate?
Objection to leaving?
Is it commonly done?
It is not.
All right. All right, nothing further, Judge.
All right, may this witness be excused?
No, yes.
No objection.
You're free to go, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Call the next witness.
It was called Sergeant Feldman.
Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God? Yes, I do. Thank you, sir.
It's all set?
Thank you. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
Can you please state your full name for the record?
Sure, it's Charles Feldman.
And sir, where do you work?
I'm a sergeant with the Tampa Police Department,
How long have you worked at the Tampa Police Department?
12 years.
And what does your job currently entail?
I'm a sergeant over the Marine Unit, Aviation Unit, and Dive Team.
What does your job description pertain to?
Sure, so I mean, there's a few different units there, but full-time I supervise the Marine Unit. I coordinate events, operations, maintenance, training, do the same thing on the Aviation Unit. And then I also supervise the Dive Team, which is a collateral duty. Essentially, divers from all over the Tampa Police Department do that as a part-time job. So we're on call 24/7, 365. We can get called out for anything in water, dive related. We do subsurface and on the surface water operations.
Okay. And sir, do you have any prior law enforcement experience?
Yes, I was a police officer at the Vero Beach Police Department for about 2 years.
What did your, God bless you, what did your job entail there?
I was a patrol officer.
Okay. So I'd like to turn your attention to the time frame of August of 2022. Were you working in that time frame?
Yes, ma'am.
Were you in the same capacity that you are in now?
No, at that time I was a detective assigned to our District 1 Detective Division, and I was also still supervising the dive team.
Okay. Well, at some point, were you asked or tasked to do something by Detective Wheeland?
Yes, I was.
What were you asked to do?
So I was given information that they believed that a firearm was possibly thrown off of the Hillsborough Avenue Bridge into the Hillsborough River for a case that had occurred a few months prior. The details of where the firearm were somewhat vague. However, it was described that they believed it was on the eastbound lanes going over the bridge, and that the firearm was discarded in an unknown location, either on the north or south of that bridge.
Okay. So you just had vague information, but the gun could possibly be in the water?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And when you receive this type of information, do you normally just go out and set up a dive and then go look for items, or was this a unique situation?
I mean, I wouldn't say this is unique to any other call that I've had, but prior to putting together an operation for a dive, one of the first things that I'll do is I'll respond to the location to survey the site to determine what the plan should be going forward to conduct an effective search in that area.
Okay. And did you do that in this case?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Had this been, I guess what I'm trying to find out is, had this been not a homicide, would you, and given the time frame in that the homicide occurred May of 2022, and you get word of this in about August, would you have still done the dive?
Most likely not.
Okay. So now, turning your attention to August the 4th of 2022, did you take any action as it pertains to this case?
Yeah, so on August 4th, I did put together an operation for August 4th. Myself and 5 other divers responded out to the Hillsborough Avenue Bridge, and we did start a search for the firearm.
How do you go about even beginning to do this process?
So First of all, we have to determine, as somebody, this is a fairly large area, the bridge itself spans about 100 yards, and we don't know if it's thrown off the north side or the south side. On the north side of the bridge, there's a gap of about 40 feet in between the eastbound lanes and the westbound lanes that something could be thrown off the bridge. And on the south side, it's just wide open, something could be thrown off. So we have to determine how far we think somebody would be able to throw an item off the bridge while they were moving in a car, which is the information that we got. And then we set up a search pattern based off of that. So the way that we conduct the search is called the jack-stay search pattern. Essentially what happens is you take a weight, a large heavy object, weighs about 20 pounds, and then you take another weight, same object, and it's connected with a rope or a line connects it. And once we determine what the search area is going to be for that dive, 2 divers will go into the water on scuba gear, and they're both going to be connected to that line, and they're going to swim from one weight on the line. So one hand is going to be holding the line, and they're going to swim from one weight to the other weight, and they're going to be searching that area. Once they get to the weight, depending on the visibility or depending on what they're looking for, in this case a firearm, which is a fairly small object, they're going to move the weight relative to what they're looking for in the visibility. So in this case, the visibility ranged from anywhere from 0 feet, so 0 visibility, to about 5 feet of visibility. And they're going to move that weight based off of what their visibility is. So in this case, if you're in 0 feet of visibility, you're going to move it about 1 foot. If you're in 5 feet of visibility, you're probably going to move that closer to 4 or 5 feet. Once they move it, they're going to swim back down the line. And once they get to the next weight, they're going to move it again. They're going to swim to the other weight. They're going to move it again. So they're essentially zigzagging our search area. The benefit to this search is that they're overlapping the search area by zigzagging it. And with 2 divers there's 2 divers so that one, they can safety each other just in case there's an underwater emergency. They can help each other out. But another benefit that happens is that they're overlapping each other's search patterns as well. So not only is the search pattern itself overlapping itself, but the divers are overlapping each other as well. So it makes it an effective search pattern.
Okay. So how many divers total went out on August the 4th of 2022?
There were 6 of us.
Okay. And how long were you out there for?
We were out there for about 5 or 6 hours on that day.
And what amount of distance did you cover?
So essentially, you're talking about the bridge is about 100 yards. You're talking almost 200 yards linear of search area. And that line is 50 feet. So we're searching from 10 feet under the bridge to 40 feet outside of the bridge on both sides of that bridge. And we split the search area into 6 different areas. That day on August 4th, we searched what we thought and I thought would be the most likely place somebody would throw an object off of the bridge would be center span, which is the deepest area. We searched both sides of the bridge in the center span, and then we also searched the northwest side of the bridge on that date.
Okay. And did you find anything?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Based on that, did you continue a search on another day? Did you or your team continue a search on another day?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, what day was that?
August 12th.
And how many people went out for that search?
6 as well on that date.
How long was that search?
About the same time frame, about 5 hours.
Okay. And was this new area or ground, or are you searching the same location that you searched on August the 4th?
Same bridge, but we're not searching the same areas. So like I said, we split it into 6 different areas. On August 12th, we were able to complete the search of 2 more of those areas to complete 5 of the 6 areas.
And to be clear, you were the one who organized both dives on
Yes.
August the 4th and August the 12th?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now, on August the 16th, based on, did you find anything on August the 12th, actually?
No, ma'am.
Okay. And based on that, did you and the team, or did the team go out again as it pertains to this case?
Yes, we did.
Okay. Did you set up that team?
Yes, I did.
Okay. And is there someone who determines the location to go to and how the dive would take place?
Me.
That would be you?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you do that on August the 16th of 2022?
Yes, I did.
Okay. Were you able to attend the dive?
On that date, I did not attend it.
Do they answer to you after the dive, or what's the protocol where that is concerned?
They essentially report to me before, during, and after the dive. So even if I can't be on scene of a specific operation, I'm consistently updated.
So you are still the supervising sergeant?
Yes, ma'am.
On the case, okay. And with this dive, are we talking about yet a new location
Correct.
underwater?
This would be the 6th area out of the 6 grids that we broke it up into.
And did you find anything of evidentiary value?
No, ma'am.
Did you follow protocol in this case?
Yes.
Is there a specific SOP for these type of cases?
Yeah, we have IDPs within our dive team, but
Okay.
a lot of it falls under just proper dive protocols.
Okay, and did you complete your dive control sheets?
Yes, we did.
And can you tell us what that is?
Yeah, sure. So for any dive that we do, we complete sheets that document where we're diving, what depths we're diving at, what we're looking for, exactly what time every single diver went into the water, what their air pressure was when they went into the water, same time and air pressure when they got out of the water. We document what the surface conditions were, what the water temperature was, what the air temperature was, and all of that is just to ensure that we are checking every box for the case, and some of it also goes into safety in terms of time in the water and time out of the water with air pressures.
Okay. On August the 16th of 2022, did you find the firearm?
No, ma'am.
Okay. And sir, are there certain things that can determine the likelihood of success for a dive such as this?
Yes.
Can you tell us what those things are?
Sure. So, I mean, as I stated earlier, the conditions diving underwater in this area specifically can change, and we were diving in anything from 0 visibility to 5 feet of visibility. So at some points during this dive, the bottom is silty. When you're diving those areas, it literally becomes 0 visibility, can't see your hand in front of your face. So one of the huge things that makes an impact on whether we're going to find an object or not is called the last seen point. So our preference is always to have somebody who has seen an item go into the water, give us an exact location, and still it can be challenging to find that item. In this case, we did not have that, and we also had a 3-month time delay. And there are factors, there's so many variables that can affect the dive in a 3-month time period. There's weather systems that come through. You have currents. This is a tidal area, so you have currents that are incoming and outcoming. You have a dam that opens up near 40th Street. That affects the current. There's wildlife in the Hillsborough River. There's possibilities that could affect the location of an item. And with a 3-month time frame, it's almost impossible to predict if those variables would have affected where this evidence would be.
Now, sir, prior to this or subsequent, have you dived that same location for items of evidence?
I don't know if I've dove that specific spot. No, I don't.
How
think so.
about the Hillsborough River?
Yes. Very
Okay, about
frequently.
how many times?
50.
And in the 50 times, what's the percentage of you actually finding an item that was purported to have been discarded?
I would say we find an item on probably 70% of our dives.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't mean that there's always something there, though.
Okay. You find an item?
An item that we're looking for.
Okay. And approximately 70%, and in most cases, are those a case in which you know the general area of where the item was discarded?
Yes, those are much more specific details. Just occurred, we have a witness, that drastically increases our likelihood of being successful.
In the time that you've been doing this work, about what percentage of times you find an item you're looking for, in which you have had a lapse of about 3 months? And similar conditions as this?
Very low, probably less than 5%, if not lower than that.
Okay. I would like to show you what has been pre-marked as 36E. Do you recognize this?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, how do you recognize that?
It is a diagram that I created.
Your Honor, at this time, say would move into evidence data exhibit 36E.
No objection.
It'll be admitted as 3060.
Yes, let's see about this. Now, sir, I'm showing you what is in evidence as 36E. Can you tell us, using this diagram, the areas, well, you created this, right?
Yes.
Specifically for this case?
Yes, ma'am.
Can you tell us what you were trying to document as you created this?
Yeah, sure. So this is a Google image of the Hillsborough Avenue Bridge right at the Hillsborough River. And what this documents, it's not exact, it's estimate, but it documents the different search areas and the dates that we completed the searches. So the two boxes in the middle would be the center span of the bridge. That's where
Do you mind standing
Standing up,
up
sure.
and kind of
Yep, so-
pointing us in the directions?
So this is search area number 1, search area number 2. These were both completed on August the 4th. This is the center span of the bridge where the channel is. That would be where I would think the highest likelihood of the evidence would be located. From there, we moved to search area number 3. These 3 boxes or rectangles were completed on August the 4th. On August the 12th, these areas, these 2 rectangles or boxes were completed. And then August the 16th, these areas were completed. In addition, this shoreline on this side was searched with a metal detector just due to the depths of it and limited visibility. Nothing was located in the shoreline as well. You can see that the boxes kind of go past the bridge. So we had a 50-foot search line. Essentially, we're swimming 50 feet this way, 50 feet that way, 50 feet this way, etc., all the way across. The reason that we start under the bridge about 10 feet is because when the item hits the water, it has the ability to move based on what the depth is. So the maximum depth in this location is right about 10 feet, depending on the tides. I wanted to ensure that if somebody dropped the firearm off the bridge, let's say they were not moving in a car, they just stood on the side of the bridge and dropped the firearm off the side of the bridge, it could potentially move 10 feet in any direction. So I wanted to ensure that we were completing a thorough search under the bridge 10 feet, 40 feet out off the bridge to make sure that wherever this firearm could have been thrown, we would be searching it.
Okay. All right, thank you. Your Honor, may I have a moment? I have no further questions.
Ross?
No questions. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
This witness be excused?
Yes, Your Honor.
Please do so, you thank
Thank you, Judge.
you. Next witness.
Your Honor, at this time, the state would call Detective Sacker.
Saffron.